What if the future wasn't something you could change? What if every choice you make, every path you take, is already written? The concept of time travel has fascinated humanity for centuries, but it brings with it an even deeper question. Is the future already set in stone? This idea, while intriguing, comes with a paradox. If time travel is possible, could we go back and alter the past? Or are we simply playing out events that were always meant to happen? It's a question that has stumped philosophers, scientists, and storytellers alike. But what if the answer to whether we can change the future also holds the key to understanding free will? Let's dive deep into the paradox of time travel and free will and explore whether the future is truly in our hands, or if it's already been written. To understand the paradox, we first need to explore the concept of determinism. Determinism is the idea that all events, past, present, and future, are determined by pre-existing conditions. In other words, everything that happens has a cause, and that cause itself was caused by something else, stretching all the way back in time. If determinism is true, then the future is already set in motion, just like the past. This means that your choices today are the result of a long chain of events that you had no control over. But this clashes with our common-sense understanding of free will. We like to believe that we are in control of our actions, that we can make choices that shape our future. So, if determinism is correct, where does that leave free will? This is where time travel introduces an interesting twist. Let's say you invent a time machine and travel into the future. If you see yourself doing something in the future, does that mean your future actions are already decided? One famous example of this is the Bootstrap Paradox. In this paradox, an object or piece of information from the future is sent back to the past, where it becomes the cause of its own existence. For example, imagine a scientist from the future sends back a time machine blueprint to an engineer in the present. The engineer builds the machine, and over time the technology is passed down until it's rediscovered by the same scientist in the future. But here's the catch. Who invented the time machine? If the blueprint was sent back from the future, does that mean the time machine was never truly invented by anyone? The Bootstrap Paradox highlights the strange loop that time travel creates, where cause and effect seem to fold in on themselves. In a way, this paradox suggests that time itself may not be as linear as we think. And if time is not linear, what does that mean for the future? One possibility is that the future already exists, just as the past does, in a kind of block universe. In this view, all moments in time, past, present, and future, exist simultaneously, like different locations on a map. We experience time as a sequence of events because we are moving through this block, much like how we move through space. But if the future is already out there, waiting to happen, does that mean we are just passengers on a predetermined ride? This is where the question of free will becomes even more complicated. Some physicists suggest that free will might be an illusion. Just like how a clock shows the time, but doesn't control the passage of time, our brains might create the illusion of making choices, while in reality, we're just following a predetermined path. But this idea has always been hard to accept. After all, if free will is an illusion, how do we explain the feeling of choosing between different options, the feeling of control over our own lives? This is where the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics offers a different perspective. In the many worlds theory, every possible outcome of every decision creates a new parallel universe. So in one universe, you decide to take a new job, while in another universe, you decide to stay at your current job. Both futures exist, but in different branches of reality. In this view, free will still exists because each choice creates a new reality, rather than following a single predetermined path. But even in the many worlds theory, the question of time travel introduces new challenges. If you travel to the future, are you seeing the future of your current timeline, or are you jumping into the future of a different parallel universe? If it's the former, then the future is already determined, and time travel simply reveals it. But if it's the latter, then time travel might actually allow you to change the future, by jumping to a different timeline. This leads us to the famous grandfather paradox. In this paradox, you travel back in time and accidentally prevent your grandfather from meeting your grandmother. As a result, you would never be born. But if you were never born, then how did you travel back in time in the first place? The grandfather paradox suggests that changing the past might create contradictions that the universe can't resolve. To avoid this, some physicists propose that time is self-consistent. In this view, any changes you make to the past are already part of history and can't alter the future in a way that creates a paradox. So, if you travel back in time, your actions were always part of the timeline, and you can't change the overall course of events. This is known as Novikovs' self-consistency principle, named after physicist Igor Novikov. In this principle, time travel is possible, but it can't alter the past or the future in any significant way. This idea brings us back to the notion that the future might already be written. But what about free will? Even if the future is set, does that mean we have no control over our actions? One possibility is that free will and determinism can coexist. This idea is known as compatibilism. Compatibilism suggests that even if the future is predetermined, we still make choices within that framework. Think of it like a chess game. The rules of the game determine how the pieces move, but within those rules, you still have the freedom to choose your strategy. In the same way, the universe might follow a set of laws that determine the overall structure of time, but within those laws, you still have the freedom to make choices. And while those choices may not change the future in the grand scheme of things, they still shape your experience of the world. But here's the twist. What if time travel itself is an illusion? Some physicists argue that time, as we perceive it, is not real. Instead, time might be a construct of our consciousness, a way for our brains to make sense of the world. In this view, the past, present, and future don't actually exist. They are just mental constructs that help us navigate reality. If time is an illusion, then the future isn't predetermined because there is no future, just an eternal present moment. This idea is explored in timeless physics, where the universe exists in a kind of eternal now, and the flow of time is just an illusion created by our brains. But whether or not time is an illusion, the question remains. Can we ever know if the future is already written? Time travel presents us with paradoxes that challenge our understanding of the universe, and free will forces us to confront the limits of our control over our own lives. In the end, the paradox of time travel and free will might be one of the greatest mysteries of existence. So, is the future already written, or is it still unwritten, waiting for you to decide? The answer may be out there, or perhaps it's something we can never truly know. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time, free will, and the mysteries of the universe. Be sure to subscribe for more mind-bending explorations into the nature of reality and the cosmos. Until next time, keep questioning, stay curious, and never stop exploring the possibilities of time.